Alright, this is one of those videos I've been wanting to make for a long time. Because low screamer in a football, yeah, this skill is weird. Sometimes it feels broken. Sometimes it feels useless, and a lot of people don't actually know which cards use it best. So today, we're fixing that. We're ranking every low screamer player from worst to best, based on their stats, playstyle, and most importantly, how that low screamer actually performs in game. And yeah, we're not just looking at the skill, we're looking at the full picture, because having low screamer doesn't mean anything if the player can't actually shoot properly. So let's start from the bottom, the ones that technically have the skill, but realistically, you're never using it. At number 10, this one might surprise some people, but once I explain it, it's going to make perfect sense, and that's Roberto Carlos. Now, before you get mad, relax, because this is not about him being a bad card. This is about how well he uses low screamer specifically, and this is where things fall apart a bit. Because yes, 103 kicking power is insane, like genuinely insane. Probably the highest on this list, and when you hit a shot with him, yeah, it's a rocket, no debate. But here's the problem, positioning, because he's a left back. And even though he's fast with 100 speed and 94 acceleration, and even though he can overlap and get forward, he's still naturally wide, and low screamer is at its best when you're central, when you're just outside the box. When you have that angle to hit it low and hard past the keeper, and Roberto Carlos just doesn't get those positions consistently. Most of the time he's shooting from wide angles, and from those angles, low screamer becomes way less effective because it's easier for the keeper to deal with. So yeah, when it works, it looks crazy, but how often are you actually using it properly? Not enough, and that's why he's last. At number 9, we move to Ferman Lopez, and this one is actually interesting, because on paper, he looks like he should be higher. 94 kicking power, 90 finishing, 91 acceleration, 88 speed, and then his dribbling stats. 95 ball control, 93 dribbling, 93 tight possession. This is a very smooth player, very responsive, very clean on the ball. So what's the problem? Consistency. Because his offensive awareness is only 85, and that actually matters a lot more than people think. Because low screamer is not just about shooting, it's about being in the right position to shoot, and with 85 awareness, he's not always making those perfect runs, he's not always sitting in those dangerous pockets outside the box, and then you add the fact that he's not the strongest physically with 76 contact. Yeah, he gets pushed off the ball sometimes before even getting the shot off. So yeah, he's good. He can definitely score some nice low screamers, but compared to others on this list, he's just not consistent enough. At number 8, now we step into more reliable territory, and this is where Scholes comes in. And this one makes a lot of sense, because Scholes is literally built for this type of shooting. 96 kicking power? Yeah, that's already elite, and then you look at his passing. 97 low pass, 95 lofted pass. This is a player who's always involved in build-up, always around the edge of the box, always ready to receive the ball in dangerous areas. And that's the key difference compared to Ferman, because Scholes doesn't rely on random movement. He naturally positions himself in those zones where low screamer is effective. But the reason he's not higher is simple. Finishing, 83 finishing is not bad, but compared to the top players on this list, it's lacking. And in game, you feel it, because sometimes the shots are powerful, but not accurate enough. Sometimes they go wide, sometimes they're saved, and that inconsistency is what keeps him at 8th. At number 7, now we've got Bruno Fernandez, and this is where things start getting more dangerous. Because Bruno is one of those players that just feels clean in game. 96 ball control, 91 dribbling, 96 tight possession. Yeah, this guy is smooth, like very smooth. And that matters a lot for low screamer, because creating space is half the battle, and Bruno is very good at that. He can shift the ball quickly, find that angle, and then release the shot. His kicking power is 93, which is solid. Not elite like some others, but definitely enough to make low screamers dangerous. And then his offensive awareness at 90, yeah, now we're talking. Because he actually gets into those positions consistently. So why is he not higher? Pace? Because with 85 speed, he's not the quickest, so sometimes he struggles to get into space against faster defenders, and that limits how often you can use his low screamer effectively. At number 6, now we move to Dominic Sashoslai, and this is where things start getting very interesting. Because this card, yeah, this is a proper low screamer profile. 96 kicking power, 92 speed, 89 acceleration, 95 ball control. This guy has everything you need: power, movement, control, and that's what makes him dangerous. Because he can create his own shooting opportunities. He doesn't rely on positioning alone. He can dribble, move forward, and then hit the shot. His finishing at 87 is decent, not elite, but combined with his power, it works. So why is he 6th? Because again, consistency compared to the top tier, he's very good, but not unstoppable. All right, now we're getting into the real part of this ranking. Because everything before this, that was just warm up. Now we're talking about players that actually make low screamer feel like a broken mechanic. Players that when you see them outside the box, you already know what's about to happen. And your opponent knows too, but they still can't stop it. At number 5, we've got Federico Valverie, and I'm not even going to lie. This card is one of the most underrated low screamer users in the entire game because when people think of Valverde, they think stamina, they think pace, they think box-to-box engine, but they don't realize how perfect his profile is for this skill. 95 kicking power, yeah, that's already elite, but what really makes him dangerous is how often he gets into shooting positions, because with 90 speed and 89 acceleration, he's constantly moving, constantly making forward runs, constantly arriving at the edge of the box, and that's exactly where low screamer becomes deadly. And then you add his aggression at 90. He's not passive, he's always involved, always pushing forward, always looking to impact the game, and that means you're getting multiple chances per match to actually use this skill. And when he hits it, it's fast, it's low, it's powerful, and keepers struggle with it. But the reason he's 5th and not higher is because while he's consistent, he doesn't have that elite finishing or control that the top players have, so sometimes those shots don't go exactly where you want them to. At number 4, this is where technique meets power, and that's Raldo, because this card is built for moments like this. 97 kicking power, that's already insane, but then you look at everything else. 98 ball control, 96 dribbling, 96 tight possession. Yeah, this is not just a shooter. This is a creator. Someone who can make space for himself. Someone who can shift the ball, open up angles, and then boom, low screamer. And that's what makes him better than Valverde because he doesn't rely on movement alone. Like, he creates his own opportunities. His finishing at 91 is also very solid, which means when he hits those shots, they're not just powerful, they're accurate too. The only reason he's not higher is because compared to the top 3, he's slightly less consistent in terms of positioning. Sometimes he drops deeper, sometimes he's more involved in build-up, so you're not always getting him into those perfect shooting spots. At number 3, we're entering the elite tier, and at this point, these players are genuinely unfair. And at number 3, we've got Gerard, and yeah, this one makes perfect sense, because Gerard is basically built for low screamer. 95 kicking power, 90 speed, 94 stamina. This guy is everywhere, and the biggest advantage he has is his playstyle, because as a box-to-box midfielder, he's constantly arriving late into the box, constantly finding space just outside the area, and that is literally the perfect position for low screamer. And when he hits it, yeah, it feels different. It feels aggressive. It feels like the ball is being driven into the net, and that's what separates him from players below him, because his shots don't just look good, they feel dangerous every single time. And on top of that, he's physically strong, so he can hold off defenders, create that extra bit of space, and get the shot off under pressure. But the reason he's not top 2 is because while he's powerful and consistent, he doesn't have the same level of technical finesse as the players above him. At number 2, this is where things get scary because Gullet is just built different. This is not a normal player. This is a complete monster. 96 ball control, 92 dribbling, 94 kicking power, 90 speed, 90 acceleration. Like, what are you even supposed to do against this? And this is why his low screamer is so deadly, because he doesn't just rely on positioning. He can do everything himself. He can dribble past players. He can push forward. He can use his physical presence to create space. And then once he gets that shot off, yeah, it's a problem. And the thing with Gullet is he can do this from multiple areas, not just one specific zone, which makes him unpredictable. And that unpredictability is what makes low screamer even more dangerous. So why is he not number 1? Because there's one player who takes consistency to another level. Now at number 1, if you've been paying attention, you already know who this is. Luis Suarez. This is the best low screamer player on this list. And honestly, it's not even close when you really think about it. 98 finishing, 93 kicking power, 96 acceleration, 94 offensive awareness. This is a striker built to score goals, and that's what low screamer is all about, finishing chances consistently. And that's the key difference between him and everyone else. Consistency, because while players like Gullet and Gerard can hit amazing low screamers, Suarez does it over and over again, match after match, because he's always in the right position, always making the right runs, always ready to shoot. And when he hits those low screamers, they're fast, they're accurate, and they're extremely hard to save, especially from inside or just outside the box. And that's why he's number 1. Not because he has the most power, but because he uses the skill the most effectively. So yeah, that's the full ranking. From worst to best, let me know your ranking in the comments.